I do want people to know about some of the early episodes that they might not have been familiar with, that they might not be familiar with. And even going back and listening to some of them, I'm just like, oh, wow. I mean, people are getting deep and they're really talking spirituality and their relationship with God and what their struggles are. And that's really the ultimate thing that I want to get into with the podcast.
Definitely. That's cool. I agree. I caught the pivot episode as well. And of course you were the one that kind of like nudged me to even watch it, because when it first premiered, I was like, I don't really want to see it. But it was done in a different way. And I didn't even think about that when it came to the inspiration for doing this episode. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think your podcast is one of those type of podcasts that's very niche and it has a lot of substance. Um I feel like a lot of times when you hear people talk about spirituality, a lot of people may think religion first, and so therefore they feel it's going to be packaged a certain way. And I just like how free you are with your guests, or by yourself, or however you do it, you do it in a very organic and authentic way. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So just reflecting back, I mean, you always got to start at the beginning. I remember your first episode was with Parish, and I really enjoyed that episode. Is it any highlights or just anything about her in general that comes to mind?
Yes. And you know what? She was the first episode I aired. She wasn't my first interview,
Oh,
but my first interview was a friend. I'm realizing this as we speak. My first interview was my friend Genesesia,
okay.
but who's also very spiritual and just in her own space. She's a healer, just
Hmm.
like Parish is a healer. And Parish is a person who is similar to how you think of me,
Hmm.
very open. She has a uh, spiritual group of women that's international that
Okay.
she's had for well over 10 years, maybe about 13 years.
Hmm.
And she is just a person that's just real fluid with her spirituality. She's very open. She just cares about the love of
Hmm.
God and the love of spirit, whatever it looks like. It's just so, I feel like maybe you got a sense of her, I hope, and
Yeah.
how much I've talked about her.
Hmm.
And just to show you, say a little bit about her. So I'm in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and she was living here and
Hmm.
she moved to Spain. I want to say like the end of 2020. She moved to Spain
Oh
for
wow.
2 years and she decided I don't want to live in the US anymore. I don't like the division here. I don't like what's going on. She has three kids, I believe. Two of them are adults, but one is a younger daughter.
Hmm.
And she wanted her daughter to be exposed to other aspects of the world that are not about divisiveness and hate. And so that she and her husband and her daughter, they moved to Spain for 2 years and they moved back recently to Georgia. And now they
Oh,
live in a city, an area called Serenbe, which is also it's an area that's hard for me to describe. I actually have not been there, but it's not far from where I live at all.
oh,
But
okay.
it's very it's a spiritual, open, organic place where people, I believe, like grow, their own food,
Oh
and
wow.
they have just a lot of authenticity. There's a lot of authenticity about the place.
That's
And
cool.
so, I mean, that's just the type of person she is. I'm not even touching on just the beauty of Parish. And so I thought she was so ideal to be the first episode to air.
Yeah.
I just decided a year ago, I said, you know what? I just want to always be a servant of God and come from a place of love, compassion, and service. In order for me to live my life with these qualities, I have to see what can I do to bring out these qualities, because being mindful of what I hear, of what I read is
Mm-hmm.
extremely important to me to conserve my energy. And every morning when I wake up, I have my quiet time of meditation and devotion. And so I'm I'm taking that vibration throughout the day. And when I step out, I say, you know what? Every single person I come out and interact with, I just want to be a servant of God.
Right.
How can I be an expression of that, right? Even playing soft music in the morning really sets the tone of what you want to carry out throughout the day.
Yes.
So, what I see happening is people are turning on the news first thing in the morning. They're frustrated. We're so divided as a country now. So they're taking that frustration and it kind of carries out with them throughout the rest of the day. So again, the question is what I am doing or what I am reading, is it adding to the betterment of the world? Is it adding to the betterment of who I am? Is it improving me as an individual? How can I strive to be better than I was yesterday? Or am I just going to be consumed with all the media? Because media never really, I feel like media is so biased. Right.
Yes.
And so sometimes we don't watch or listen to the good stories because that's not what makes media,
Right.
right? And so again, to have that connection with my divine source, I choose to create my own environment, again, of what I read and what I watch.
Yeah, I definitely thought, just the conversation that you all had, it just set the tone for how you wanted it to be. Like when you explained it to me, it felt that way, So I think that's pretty cool. And just thinking back to what you said about 2020, it's so crazy how the tone of like our country was so different then. It's like I
Yes.
almost don't think about it in that way, just because the day to day now, everything just seems so quiet from a political standpoint and
You think
everything.
so? Wow. That's
Yeah, I mean, I
nice.
do.
That's
I
nice.
do. I mean, not to get political or anything, but I mean, just the temperament of both presidents are just vastly different.
True.
And in our previous president, it was an angst in the country. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing that I think about is like the division. No matter which side you were on, people were really either for, or against in that way. And it doesn't feel that way now. I mean, you can always find that, but that didn't feel like the everyday tone when you turned on the news or anything like that. It doesn't feel that way
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. And I don't want to get ahead of
Yeah.
ourselves, but I think I'm thinking as you're talking that George Floyd's death probably shifted a lot of things where even if people are so starkly different in their views,
Mhm.
they're a little more tolerant of each other and
Yeah.
a little more mindful of we're both human. We both have people that we love in our lives. We're
Mhm.
just on different sides of the fence ideology, when
I,
it comes
I,
to ideology.
I would hope so. I mean, I would hope
Yeah.
so, but you never know.